Ron Williams, the author, wrote, "Sometimes all it takes to redefine your career is looking at it with a fresh perspective." Nothing new there. We all know that.
Right.
Reframing is creating a new mental landscape with a larger scope of focus, a greater degree of flexibility, and a set of alternative ways to approach any problem. This is LaToya Westbrook's story. Okay, we're going to meet her in just a second. Let me tell you something about her. She is an Army combat veteran. Now, she battled trauma and abuse before and after serving in the U.S. Army. Now, it was a long road, but she's now a certified sound meditation guide, which we're going to get into, a yoga teacher, a crystal concierge, and a wellness coach. And she offers unique modalities, which we're also going to get into here in a few minutes. LaToya, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you for having me. Such a beautiful introduction. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. LaToya is also going to be a contributing author to my upcoming book, Business Secrets from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. And this book will be available at the end of March. So mark your calendars. You can read her story and stories with other veterans. All right, LaToya, let's get into this. You told me at one point when we spoke that one of your hope was when you went into the Army, that would be a way to reframe your life.
Right.
Okay, as much as you're comfortable telling us, what were you trying to reframe?
So for me, the reframing was getting away from a traumatic childhood. Unfortunately, like many others in the world, I experienced and survived physical and sexual trauma and abuse. And so I was looking for a way to escape that and get away from that stigma, that kind of like that bullseye on my back. I wanted to get away from it all. And I was sick and tired of religion. I grew up in a very religious household. So unfortunately for me at that time, I didn't want to have anything to do with religion and God in the context that I was raised in. And so joining the U.S. Army was a way for me to get away from all of that, serve my country, but also make a living. I had heard about being able to attend college. And so that was one of the things at the top of my list. And, you know, it was just an opportunity to get away from the betrayal, the hurt, you know, feeling like the bad guy, even though I was the victim. It was just a mess, an emotional volcano just slowly brewing, ready to erupt. So I had to get away and escape all of that and try my best to turn my life around in my early 20s. That's very hard to do when you're a young adult.
Right. At that age, you don't know where to turn. You don't have a lot of skills or life experiences at some point. So you went to the Army. Now, how did the Army help?
The Army, I like to say that the Army helped a lot and a little, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
meaning, I was brought up very well, you know, rules, morals, respect, so on and so forth. I was taught to pay attention to detail prior to the Army. I grew up in a household where cleanliness was, you know, next to godliness. So all those types of things weren't an issue for me. But the Army did help me hone my survival instincts. It increased my awareness when it came to paying attention to detail, honoring and respecting authority. That for me wasn't a challenge. I actually thought it was a bit funny, only because my father was someone who was at the root cause of some of that abuse. And so I felt like, been there, done that. Who are you, drill sergeant? Like, I can handle you. So that's why I say on one hand, it helped. And on the other hand, it didn't help. But overall, my experience, the biggest takeaway for me was honing my survival instincts and learning how to navigate wrong and right lifetime relationships. Wrong and right meaning, you know, are they lighting me up? Are they serving me? Are they still abusive in nature in any capacity? So I was able to navigate and learn all of that while in the United States Army.
That's exciting because we all were going to the military young, and we start to learn who you can trust, who you can't
Right.
trust, who's in it for themselves, and you build some really lifelong friendships. Are you still in touch with some of the folks?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I have some great friends right now today. I talk to one in particular all the time. Oh my God, we laugh to the point where we're in tears, just going down memory lane, some of the training exercises we had to do. There were good moments in Afghanistan, so we bring those up a lot. So yeah, I have many, many close relationships. I'm in the midst of planning a get together now for some of my friends and I. So very exciting to have those friendships from my time in the Army.
There's a bond that just never ends, it never goes away when you're in the military. You form that. I'll tell you,
Absolutely. There's nothing like it.
many young combat veterans, and you were a combat veteran.
Yes.
There's issues when you come home. What
Right.
impact did the war have on you?
The impact that the war had on me was very emotional. I didn't realize it at the time. Is you're high strung. You're always on high alert. You have the adrenaline always going. So it's very emotional. After the fact, I had a lot of PTSD. I came home literally looking over my shoulder all the time because I had become scared of the dark. Because in Afghanistan, where we were, once the sun went down, that was it. We didn't have a place where there was a ton of lighting. We couldn't. That was a way to protect ourselves and to remain hidden. So I came back with the fear of the dark, something I had never experienced before. I began to rely on over-the-counter medications to go to sleep, to stay awake, all these energy drinks, went to the VA to get help. Of course, in my personal opinion, all they did at that time was prescribe even more medications. I noticed that I had an increase in OCD tendencies. So that just, oh my God, that just blew up, trying to control something, trying to have a grasp on what in the world happened in my life and to my life during that time there. So the OCD just picked up. The PTSD was horrible. I had one incident that I didn't even realize happened when I came back. My family and I went to a mall. I would say this is about 6 months after I had come back from Afghanistan, and we were walking to the car, and there was a box on the ground near my mother's vehicle. And without even thinking, I pushed her aside and was like, "Mom, wait, let me clear the car. That could be a bomb." And it happened so fast. I was high on adrenaline. I did not realize what happened. And that's when I was like, oh, I need help. I've got some healing to do. Unfortunately, I was in a bad relationship at the time, so that wasn't healthy. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. So the effects of war were tremendous. And there were a lot of things I didn't see at the time until I sought out therapy and other healing modalities to help me get better.
Now, at that time, we all go to the VA because that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Right.
And at that time, the VA was basically, someone described them to me as legal drug pushers. Just
Yes.
take more meds, take more drugs, take more of this. They didn't have holistic treatment at that time.
Right.
So from what I understood is you suffered with this for over 3 years, and then you said, this has got to change.
Yes.
What did you do?
So I did attempt to go the route that the VA suggested, which was talk therapy, all the medications. But for me personally, and in my opinion, I felt that the talk therapy that was being offered was very elementary, and it was something that I could Google myself. And, at that point in my life, I didn't need something I could Google myself. I really needed guidance and someone to help me and someone to penetrate me on a cellular level. At the heart level, so I can move on with my life. So what I chose to do was seek out spirituality, traditional meditation, And I did that for years. Yoga, I got more consistent with yoga. I had been doing yoga on and off throughout my entire life, but it was during this time that I returned to a consistent practice, because through yoga, you heal in more ways than one. Everybody in the wellness industry is very familiar with the fact that yoga is not just physical, it's spiritual. It's emotional. A lot of times you'll experience an emotional cathartic release. And that's what I needed. So I chose to seek out yogic philosophy. I studied Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, many different avenues, different religions, just trying to find a way. Again, because of the way I was raised, I didn't want to have anything to do with God and church. So this was my liberty and my freedom. And so I did that for a couple of years after coming off of active duty. And then traditional meditation became a mainstay. I began to relax. I began to soften. The anxiety wasn't as high. The PTSD, I was able to alleviate that with the traditional meditation. And then I discovered sound baths. And that's when my heart, my world was cracked open in the most beautiful, healing way.
Sound baths. All right. I'll bet the majority of viewers don't know what that is. What is it and how does it help?
Yes. So a sound bath is also commonly referred to as sound therapy, sound healing, or sound meditation. And so sound therapy, I'll go with that term for now for the sake of this, is the use of overtone emitting instruments that stimulate our alpha and theta brain waves, and then they penetrate us on a cellular level. They also balance our right and left hemispheres of the brain. And so when you have all of that going on and your body's able to relax, all of this also helps downshift and regulate your nervous system. So you're really relaxed and you're at your deepest state of meditation. Some people sleep. Some people have a cathartic release. Emotions just come bubbling to the surface, up and out. And so that's what a sound bath is, the use of those overtone emitting instruments to open and create the space for healing or whatever it is that you need in your life. You let the vibrations and the frequencies from those instruments do the work. You have to be open to it. And it's a beautiful experience.
I've heard people say that this is also something where you can reprogram those neural pathways in your brain that have been leading you in directions that you don't want to go anymore. Does that help in that area?
Absolutely. It breaks down the walls that so many of us walk around building or keep up around ourselves to protect ourselves. So it reframes those neural pathways. All of a sudden you're open to new ideas. You're more creative. The business ideas pop out. A lot of people, I'll speak for myself from experience, I didn't want to continue doing the same thing I had been doing for years. So for me, that was not working a 9-to-5 anymore. I wanted to have financial and time freedom. So I chose to create my own business, many different things. So to answer your question, yes, it is very beneficial in that way.
So you open a business, you decide to open a business. And this is where I talk with a lot of veterans and they said, well, I have this idea and I know what to do, but I don't know how to run a business. So tell us about the Rosie Network service to CEOs that helped you. What did they do?
Okay. So I have my business, White Violet Yoga, and I created that business prior to joining the Rosie Network Service to CEO program. But I joined the Rosie Network Service to CEO program to fine tune many of the little components that I thought I covered for my business. So for me, that was getting insurance for my business, getting licensed within my state. We get excited as new entrepreneurs, like, hey, I've got a business, I've got an LLC, and we think that's it. But the Rosie Network helps everyone or veterans and military connected folks launch, grow, and scale their business. And so I was able to go back and cover those milestones that needed to be taken care of for my business. And because of my success with the Rosie Network and the Service to CEO program, I was able to secure my first 2 contracts. So I went through the program in March of 2022. And prior to then, I had been in business for a little over 2.5 years. And so it wasn't until my success with that program that I secured those 2 contracts. My networking got a lot better, made better connections, stronger connections. And so that happened for me. So I'm very excited. I'm grateful for the Rosie Network and Services CE program, and I cannot talk highly enough about it.
That's amazing. It's something where veterans, as in the military, were basically told, figure it out, right? Just figure it out. And so we get out, and there are many opportunities and programs and people to help, but I can figure this out.
Right.
When did you decide, I need to go see somebody? I need some help here with the business end?
I had the thought a couple of times throughout those 2.5 years that I was speaking of, but it dawned on me that, hey, ding, 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 you're getting a couple of clients here and there, like you need help to grow. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. So I did some research and went to a Wounded Warrior Project event, and they were speaking about the Rosie Network and the Service to CEO program, and the fact that they help veterans and military connected folks launch, scale, and grow their business. So I was like, oh, there it is. There's my shining light. So I joined it at that point, but it was due to needing to learn how to attract and maintain clientele.
Exactly. It's something where there's so many veterans that are willing to help other veterans, but you have to ask,
Right.
Correct?
Right. That is correct. Absolutely. You can't sit there and hope that it'll happen, or just hope that someone's going to always hold your hand through the process. You have to take the initiative and do some research and seek help.
So tell us about White Violet Yoga. What are you doing there? And let's hear it. This is an amazing story, what you morphed into. So tell us what it does.
So White Violet Yoga is a community organization that focuses on helping women veterans and their loved ones realign their lives and realign their energy through the use of sound healing or sound baths and sound therapy, Dharma talk, meditation, community circles, and more. And so our mission or our hope is that the sound therapy, first and foremost, will help them reframe their lives, open up a bit more, alleviate anxiety, PTSD, depression, and stress, so that they can become more vibrant, experience joy, and just, live a more meaningful life. Sound therapy for me is what truly turned my life around. And so I feel that that is my duty and my calling. And so that is what I share through White Violet Yoga with other women veterans and their families.
Wow. It's amazing that this one veteran told me, he said, when we get out, the DD-214 is not the end of service to others.
Yes.
It's a lifetime commitment. And that's exactly what you're doing. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Selfless service. You have to, in my opinion, that's where you have to be in life. You just have to open up that space in your heart and be of service to others. It's not about, the money, the fame, the popularity, the likes, the comments, so on and so forth. Selfless service is, you do it because you're truly passionate about it. You do it because you love it. And it's something you've experienced and therefore want to go back out and share with the world. The money and the recognition that will come so long as you stay true to your heart, your passion, and operating in your calling, whatever that may be, with authenticity and grace. So yes, I'm very big on selfless service.
That's a terrific point, because I came in the corporate world when I got out of the military, and people can smell insincerity like that. They're just, there's this trust. You have an aura, and as I've talked to you and you're talking to me now, you talk from the heart and you connect at the heart, and that's enormous.
Oh, thank you.
So how do people get a hold of you?
Yes, so you can connect with me at www.whitevioletyoga.com or as LaToya Westbrook on LinkedIn or at White Violet Yoga on Instagram. And on Instagram and my website, excuse me, I have many different links that people are also able to access to view my profiles and other ways to work with me. I do offer group and one-on-one sound healing sessions.
It's outstanding. Folks, if you need, we all need, if you're in a situation, particularly since COVID, of stress and isolation and anxiety and frustration, this is a woman you need to know. This is a woman you need to meet, because this is going to help you. It's amazing. I've talked to you and I love your story. I absolutely love what you've done.
Thank you.
Well, we are just about out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank LaToya again for sharing this amazing transformation of reframing and coming from a very difficult environment into a war zone, coming back from a war zone to another difficult environment, but was able to reframe her life and is living a very productive and happy and prosperous life as a business owner now. So it's I'm really excited for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can see more of LaToya's story and several other veterans in the book, Business Secrets from the Battlefield to the Boardroom. And these are stories that are written by the veteran, by veteran parents, by military children. It's their story and their words. And it's very important that we understand what selfless service is. And there's a whole book on it from these people. Now you can see the show on ROKU TV or on my YouTube channel, which is named Frank Zaccari, because I keep everything easy. I will send links to LaToya, and she will put these links up to all her places in the world that you can see her and read her and connect with her. If you use my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Now let me leave you with this. None of us are in this alone. And the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, LaToya showed us where many of those rocks are. Join us again next week for another life-altering event. LaToya, thank you so much.
Thank you.